Okay, today we're going to show you how to set your rider sag. There's two different ways to do it and I'll show you both ways. Okay, so the reason we're going to do it two ways is one, we have a Motion Pro Sagmaster tool, which not everybody has. So the second way we'll do it is with a tape measure. Most people have one of these. There's two ways to do it with a tape measure, but I'm going to show you the simplest way where there's no subtracting to do, because some people still get that wrong. It becomes frustrating. So, then we just need a hammer and a punch to adjust the spring preload to get the sag right to suit our rider. Okay, step one, we need the bike up on a stand so that there's no weight on the back wheel at all. I'll set both of these instruments up now. I like to put a little mark on the side cover so that we reference that mark all the time. With your Sagmaster, this just slides into the axle. There's an adjustment here to lift it up and down, and what we want to do is put the 0 on that mark. So let's put that in there. And I did adjust this earlier, but yeah, see the 0 against that mark, so we get an accurate measurement. Okay, so while the bike's up on the stand, I might as well set the tape measure up. We've got a lock on here, so it should stay where we set it. So with your tape measure, you just need to find somewhere to lock your measure into the swing arm. This little alcove here, it fits nicely with this part of the tape measure, so we'll sit that in there. And this might sound a little bit odd if you've never done it this way, but I want you to set that at 100. Okay, so now we've set that up with our tape measure. We need the rider fully dressed, including helmet. Let's get the bike off the stand. Okay, so what we really want to do here, sometimes you'll need an extra person just to steady the bike. So what we do here is we'll get him to put his feet up on the pegs. I'll balance the bike. Just ask him if that's where he normally sits. So that's where you would normally sit if you're comfortable. We then stick the tape measure in the same little alcove. We measure that, and what that number says is how much sag. So we've got 88 mil of sag there, which isn't enough for this bike. So how I get that is, just put your feet down. How I get that is, why I set it on the 100 is because now I don't have to subtract one number from the other number I get. It'll just go down, and wherever it rests, that's how much sag I've got. So if it sits at 90, it's 90 mil sag. 92, it's 92 mil sag. So there's no adding or subtracting that way. So another way I like to do it, and it's more, I wouldn't say accurate, but it's more consistent, is the rider standing up on the pegs. Okay, so you get when they sit down, they could be a little bit further forward, they could be a little bit further back from where they normally ride, but when they're on the pegs don't move. So that's where the weight's going to be when they're standing up over the pegs. So just stand up, Jared, as if you were riding. Okay. Once again, it is easier with a third person, and that's giving me the exact same sag. So he was sitting exactly where he stood, but if you find you do it 3 or 4 times, you always get more of a consistent measurement when they're standing up on the pegs. Okay, now that measurement was a little high. I like to run about 104. So with a Yamaha, one full turn on the spring preload collar is close to 5 mil difference. So if we make one full turn, it'll bring it down 5 mil. That'll be like 103, so we're getting close to the mark. Okay, we're just going to get Jared off the bike now, and we'll grab our tools and we'll adjust the sag. With a Yamaha, it's just a punch and a hammer to loosen off a lock ring, and then you spin the other lock ring around by using the spring. So in this case, we need to lower the back of the bike, so we're going to lift the lock rings up. Okay, so we just need to find out which way to which side of the bike to get to the lock ring is going to be easier for us. I've got a nice long punch. I can come in from this side. Just need to loosen that lock ring. So there's no need to do these up super tight either. They're only aluminium lock rings on an aluminium body, so it is easy to damage the thread. It's good to count how many notches there are on your lock ring to make one full turn. On this Yamaha, I know that there's 10. If you're uncertain, it's just handy to have a black text and just put a black mark on the one you're looking at. So when you've made your adjustment, you know that you've done a full turn. Okay, we've loosened off our top lock ring. It's now time to adjust the spring to change the preload. The second collar actually has some tabs on it to use the punch on as well in case it gets stuck. Sometimes it gets a bit of grit in there from riding, and you will have to use that to free it up a little. Once you've freed it up, it's a matter of making that adjustment. So we were going one full turn, which was going to bring it to around the 102 it would have. So I want to go a little bit past that, and then we need the rider back on just to make sure we get it right. With this bike, it depends how you ride. You know, taller guys like to ride over the back a lot, so it's probably good to have 104mm sag. If you're a guy that rides up the front a lot, you probably want a little more sag. For instance, we recommend 104 as a general rule with the WR, but some of the guys in our race teams run as high as 118. So that all depends on the spring rate, your linkage ratios. Those boys play around a lot with things like that. But as this comes out of the box, we recommend between 104 to 110. Okay, now we've made that adjustment. Haven't locked it off as yet because we need our rider back. I'm going to use the Motion Pro Sag Master. I've showed you the way to use the tape measure. This is my preferred way, just because it makes it easier. It's easier to read, and it's just my preference. Now, same method, make sure he's sitting in the right spot. Feet both up on the pegs, please. Okay, so after a little bit of playing around, fine tuning, we've got that set at 104, which is exactly where we want to be. Now it's just a matter of locking up the lock tab, and we're good to go.